Welcome to this session on leading and organizing in action, building relationships. I'm Kim McCoy, Senior Program Manager with Stratus Health. Our objectives today are to understand why relationships matter, to understand relationships in the coalition setting, and to learn how to build intentional relationships through one-to-one meetings. Once we've introduced our motivating vision for change, which we learned about in the last session, we need to further engage people to actually commit to actively joining the coalition. We are still focusing on the people component of change. One of the challenges facing multi-stakeholder coalitions is developing strong commitments to work collectively toward an overarching goal. Another hurdle is ensuring participation of many constituencies in the coalition's leadership. A third obstacle is developing trust between institutions, groups, and individuals, especially when historical, political, or demographic conflicts between stakeholders limit the coalition's ability to work toward a common purpose. Strong relationships are key to addressing these challenges. In organizing, leadership is about enabling others to achieve a shared purpose. The foundation of a coalition is built on relationships, particularly among leaders. Intentionality in building relationships allows coalition leaders to identify, recruit, and develop leaders, build relationships with potential collaborators to explore values, learn about resources, discern common purpose, and find others with whom leadership responsibility can be shared. Build unity and support. Leaders reach out to others and form relationships that expand the circle of support, identify more resources to access, and encourage people to become leaders themselves. And turn relationships into commitment and the power needed to achieve goals. Commitment is one of our greatest resources, particularly when efforts come up against internal conflict or external obstacles. Commitment is developed and sustained through relationships that are intentionally developed and nurtured constantly. The more that people find purpose in the shared vision, the more they will commit energy and resources. In organizing, leaders work on the basis that long-term power and potential for change come from relational commitment. This requires investment of significant time and intentionality into building the right relationships, those that generate commitment to each other and to the shared purpose. Leaders seek to engage those best suited to help build and sustain the partnerships and resources needed to achieve an outcome. They are not casual friendships or private relationships. They are identified, cultivated, and maintained in a public setting and involve ongoing attention and effort. Many of the people asked to join will be representing organizations that have an interest in the effort and may participate as part of their formal employment, while others may be going above and beyond their regular job roles and working hours. Still others may join as volunteers. Being mindful of this diversity is important in how people are asked to participate. Relationships are also rooted in shared values. Leaders identify shared values by learning each other's stories and choice points in a life journey. That means that people have to get to know one another. Leaders must be curious and attentive in listening to others, what they say verbally and non-verbally, and what they don't say. And they must also be courageous, authentic, and vulnerable to allow others to know them by sharing what they care about and why. To elicit other people's values, we ask what it was that motivated them to make a decision or to act. Relationships are born from exchanges of interests and resources. Your resources can address my interests. My resources can address your interests. The key is identifying interests and resources and figuring out how they are complementary. Organizing relationships are not transactional or one-sided. Coalition leaders are not simply looking for someone to meet and ask and move on. They are looking for leaders to join in long-term relationships of learning, growth, and action. As the relationship grows, it becomes a source of learning and an interest and resource for both parties. Finally, relationships are created by commitment, not compliance. An exchange becomes a relationship only when each party commits their most valuable resource, time. A commitment of time gives the relationship a future and a past, and because all learn, grow, and change, the purpose that led to formation of the relationship may change, offering possibilities for enriched exchange. The relationship itself may then serve as a source for sustaining inspiration, motivation, and commitment, what Robert Putnam calls social capital. By focusing on relationship-based motivation and leadership, a different model than the compliance-based leadership many people are used to, coalition leaders deliberately choose to work against the prevailing culture of compliance and work towards true commitment and partnership. Relationships should be built among coalition members, during coalition meetings, as part of an onboarding process for new coalition members, and among members of a coalition's core leadership team. They should also be built with stakeholders to invite them to participate in the coalition, to help recruit additional leaders, to align existing resources, and to ask them to recruit others from their networks. One of the best ways to initiate intentional relationships is by use of the one-to-one meeting, a technique developed and refined by organizers over many years. A one-to-one meeting is a face-to-face, even if that means via video conference, and it consists of 5 steps. First, get the person's attention. Get a person's attention by arranging a planned meeting in which both people set aside time to focus on each other. This meeting should not be a chance encounter. In an initial meeting, we explain how we got the person's name, identify another person who referred us, or mention a common connection to an institution or community. Next, we describe our interest and purpose. Be upfront and transparent about articulating your interest and purpose for the meeting. Confirm the length of time set for the meeting and project enthusiasm for the meeting. Offer someone the chance to do something really important. It is not every day that a person gets invited to act in the service of their values. Articulate energy and appreciation for the time together. Step 3 is to elicit and explore. This is the heart of the conversation. Be prepared to briefly share your story of self, where you came from, what drives you, what motivates you to participate in this work. But most of the one-to-one is devoted to exploration through asking probing questions and listening deeply. Focus on eliciting the other person's story or the choice points in their journey that reveal values such as, do you recall when you first decided to pursue a vocation based on caring for others? What led you to that choice? Look for the story behind the story by asking why questions. You could be putting your time and energy into a million other things. Why this? Why you? Why now? We probe and listen intentionally for the person's values and history acting on those values. Interests, testing whether those assumed to be true indeed are, and probing for others. Skills, those used before and those waiting to be tapped. Resources, personal knowledge, relationships, and time, as well as financial and organizational resources. Step 4 is to make an exchange. Note what you are discovering and think strategically about possible exchanges of resources. Should I invite this person to a coalition meeting? Should I ask him or her for a commitment to meet together again? Should I ask for an introduction to other people or for their contact information? Is this a good prospect for the coalition's core leadership? What can this coalition and I offer this person? Identify and communicate what you are exchanging throughout the meeting, such as information, support, appreciation, challenge, and insight. Finally, seek a commitment. A successful one-to-one meeting ends with a commitment to mutually engage in a strategic and mutual exchange of resources. What turns this exchange into a relationship is the commitment made to each other to continue the relationship and commit resources in service to a shared purpose. To ask for commitments, frame the ask as an opportunity. Sometimes people are hesitant to directly ask for a commitment, worried that it will burden the other person or that they will reject us by saying no. However, by asking someone to participate, coalition leaders are giving someone an opportunity to act on their values and an opportunity to develop new skills and relationships around a shared vision for a better future. Frame the action within a story of now. Articulate why it is important. Help others view it as an opportunity. Be specific about what you are asking for. Ask whether you can count on someone using clear, concise language to describe the next steps. Ask for specific commitments that clarify who will do what by when. Take out your calendars to schedule the date and time of the next meeting. Offer to help by sending a reminder email with the specifics, or to be in touch again to follow up. By doing this, you underscore the established relationship on which future commitment can grow. Thank you again for joining this session on building relationships. For more information, please feel free to reach out to me at the email address shown on the screen.